Picturesque Monaco, with its world-famous harbour and money-laden atmosphere, today sees the 50th Monaco Grand Prix on one of the most unlikely circuits imaginable. The streets are too narrow, the teams have to work in truly primitive conditions, and for the drivers, the race is a lottery. But it's the last of the great street circuits, and still very much the Grand Prix to win. And today sees a classic confrontation between Formula One's two top names, Nigel Mansell and Ayrton Senna. Mansell, magnificently supported by his Williams-Renault team, is on the crest of a wave, with a record 5 successive season-opening wins. But Monaco hasn't been his happy hunting ground. Despite 4 starts from the front row, his 11 drives here have yielded only 1 second place and no wins. But team boss Frank Williams has no doubts about Nigel.
He fears no one. He believes, and it's appropriate that he does, that he is the best driver in the world. Whether he is or not doesn't matter. It's a question of him and his equipment together winning all the races. People can then judge for themselves. But he is fearful of no one, very self-confident, and highly, highly talented. He really has, like a few other drivers, terrific car control, which I really admire.
It's a very different story for Ayrton Senna, though. 4 wins, 3 of them in the last 3 years, but nothing better than 3rd place this season. His skill is undiminished, but atypically, his McLaren Honda team have fallen behind in the development race. The reigning world champion has to do well today to stop the title slipping from his grasp, because Ayrton is a massive 42 points behind the championship leader, who's followed by his teammate Riccardo Patrese, Benetton's Michael Schumacher and Gerhard Berger tying with Senna. But there are 26 starters today, not just 2, and with the Benetton team, second in the Constructors' Championship, Martin Brundle, with his confidence restored after an excellent San Marino Grand Prix, starts his 7th race here in a car that could win. And so does his astounding young German teammate Michael Schumacher for his first race at Monaco, although his speed in practice made him look like a veteran here. And Ferrari? Well, the team's fanatical supporters are here in force from Italy, but even they aren't optimistic that the charging Sicilian, Jean Alesi, can get the job done. The car isn't good enough, says Ferrari team boss Luca Di Montezemolo, and nor is the engine. In a race where almost anything can happen, though, Ferrari could surprise us. So could Andrea De Cesaris, the man who's driven in the most Grand Prix without winning. For he could break his duck today in his Tyrrell Ilmore, which suits the twisty circuit admirably. The experienced Michele Alboreto, on a high after 3 successive points finishes, has had 2 top 3 placings at Monaco, and his footwork Mugen car is vastly improved. And although victory seems out of the question for Roberto Moreno, the little Brazilians at last succeeded in qualifying his quaintly named Andrea Moda. So, for the 4th time in 6 races, the 2 Williams drivers on the front row of the grid, ahead of 4 times winner Ayrton Senna and Jean Alesi. The 2 Benettons of Schumacher and Brundle are 6th and 7th. Johnny Herbert's new Lotus, an excellent 9th, with teammate Mika Hakkinen 14th. And right at the back of the grid, starting last, but starting for the first time this year, Roberto Moreno in the Andrea Moda. So Mansell to the left, Patrese to the right. There is a gap there. It's one of the Minardis, I think, that is probably Morbidelli. Morbidelli must be starting from the back, from the pit lane. I can't see the exit. Anyway, it's almost go. It is. Mansell gets away. Patrese gets in front of Senna, stays in front of Senna. Senna sprinting through and going up into 2nd position ahead of Riccardo Patrese as they go up the hill. Are they getting round Sander Vos? Yes, they are. Mansell leads. Senna is 2nd. Patrese is 3rd. Alesi is 4th as they come up into Casino Square. A brilliant start by Ayrton Senna because Riccardo Patrese was determined to get away well. It's Schumacher in 5th position and Berger is 6th.
Yes, and there you saw the advantage of pole there, because Mansell got a bit too much wheel spin at the start, and he was able to fill the road up to Sandebot, but it was a brilliant opportunist manoeuvre by Ayrton Senna that snatched 2nd place, and now he's going to see if he can put Mansell under pressure.
I have referred to this race as a classic confrontation between the two top names in Formula One, Nigel Mansell and Ayrton Senna, and we have it already. Ayrton Senna, 4 times a winner. Nigel Mansell has never won at Monaco. 5 victories behind him. You can see there's a gap developing already, and this indicates to you that Nigel Mansell was quite right yesterday when he said to me that they've closed the gap, and that's already one of the Dallara out. It's Pierluigi Martini out of the race already on lap 1. Maybe a drive shaft gone again, and that's at the Portier, the right-hander which leads into the tunnel. Mansell, Senna, Patrese, Alesi, Schumacher, Berger, Brundle is in 7th position. Nigel Mansell leads through at the completion of a full lap, and already there's a gap developing between Senna 2nd, Patrese 3rd. Patrese has got right behind him the Ferrari of Jean Alesi, which is going so much better here at Monaco. And into Casino Square. So Mansell leading by 8/10 of a second. Nearly a full second at the end of the first lap. So Mansell, Senna, Patrese, Alesi, Schumacher closing up on the rear of the Ferrari. It's the V10 Renault engine, Williams leading the V10 Honda engine McLaren of Ayrton Senna. And reliability and tactics are all in this race. Put a wheel wrong and you're in trouble. Here's Mansell. The fastest lap that there has ever been during a race at Monaco is Alain Prost last year, 1 minute 24.368, and Nigel Mansell went round 5 seconds faster, 5 seconds faster than that in qualifying, but of course with low tanks.
Yes, as Mansell now starts to just stretch away a little bit.
With the Ferrari now of Jean Alesi. There he is. And behind Alesi is Schumacher. So, this is the Massenet, the left-hander. We're with Schumacher now, looking at the car that we have just been looking from as they go out of Casino Square. This is the most exciting place in Grand Prix racing. The drop past the Hotel Metropole. There is the Mirabeau, now Lowe's corner, the hairpin, and you can see that Berger, who is in 6th position, is not so very far behind Michael Schumacher. Indeed, there is only 2 seconds between 2nd and 6th position at the present moment as they go through the tunnel. Now, out. Mansell is still well away. He's now built up nearly 6 seconds lead as you look at the battle between Jean Alesi's Ferrari and Michael Schumacher. Here is Senna.
And behind these, Martin Brundle's going well in 7th place. He's right there. There's a queue formed really behind Ayrton Senna, with only a small gap between Schumacher and Berger, and then Johnny Herbert is right up there in 9th place as well. And this is one long queue.
Well, that's a Jordan. I think it's Stefano Modina's. Just a minute. Yes, it's Modina's. And that is the view from Martin Brundle's Benetton.
Yes, and Schumacher still nibbling away, and he will need to keep some petrol in his own physical tank for later in the race, but he's pressing away.
Indeed he is, and when you see an on-car in cockpit run, and there is Schumacher attacking him. Is he going to go through, or are they going to touch wheels? They've done that, and it's almost a spin. Patrese has held his place, and of course now, Alesi's held his place, and that means, of course, that Riccardo Patrese will have been able to pull away. Well, Schumacher certainly is pushing. He has been done. Now here's a replay. He's trying to go through on the inside of Jean Alesi's Ferrari. The Frenchman moves wide to try and give him room, but he can't move wide enough, and he's pushed off.
Yes, and I think he ran over the front wing of the Benetton there as he did it, and you don't do that to Alesi and have him make room for you. He stuck very firmly on it. Now let's have a look at the Benetton's front wing. Well, here we see the on-board, but I think I saw a bit of front wing sort of snap up. Oh, we're doing some damage to the bodywork of the Ferrari. So now that was a fantastically good view. That's the front wing, hard to see from that picture. Well, I don't think Alesi has suffered too much damage. He's just done his fastest lap of the race. although fuel load coming down, everybody seems to be going a little bit quicker now, and the sun is in at the moment, and we have news from the pits from Jonathan.
Well, we've got both Benetton and Ferrari here, both looking at the monitors, both with a set of fresh tyres out for their respective drivers following that little contretemps. Otherwise, a rather disappointed Ken Tyrrell, dismayed in fact, both cars out with transmission tunnel, which is a shame because Tyrrell normally have a superb record. While Stefano Modena, I got a brief word for him, and yes, he did concede it was driver error.
Yes, Modena out, as is Pierluigi Martini, Carl Bendlinger, Andrea De Cesaris, Olivier Griard, and Nigel Mansell leading on lap 16 out of 78. What he has to worry about now are two things. One is that the Williams stays reliable, and the second is that he's not held up by tail enders in lapping them. Because more than anywhere else, if a tail ender gets in your way at Monaco, it takes a long, long time to get past them, no matter how determined you are, and that means that the people behind you can close up. So, there's Berger. 6th, Brundle, 7th, into Saint-Devot. We're now with Martin Brundle, who is attacking Gerhard Berger. Stabs of flame from the V12 Honda engine of Gerhard Berger as they go round Casino Square, and Martin Brundle is looking to... he won't get through there. That's the right-hander at the Mirabeau. Now Lowe's. Well, Martin Brundle, who got his act well and truly together at the San Marino Grand Prix by finishing in 4th place, and that was the first time this season that he had been able to finish in the Benetton. It's Johnny Herbert in the new Lotus. I don't know what happened, obviously, because we cut straight to it, and Johnny Herbert is obviously perfectly okay. He's out of the car. Great pity, but that car has already demonstrated that it's got an enormous amount of potential, and it's wheeled away by the very efficient marshals here as Mansell comes into the swimming pool here. Now he's just approaching the place where Johnny Herbert went off. When Mansell comes out of the left-hander, which he's approaching now, he will go past the removed wreckage of Johnny Herbert's. There it is, Lotus. And Mansell's coming through now to complete his 19th lap out of 78, leading by 14 seconds and remorselessly building up a gap. And Mansell has always been a charger. There's never been anybody that charged more than Nigel Mansell. But this year, if I may say so, his tactical driving has been absolutely supreme. He seems to have, in his long career now, truly settled down and determined to win the race properly, tactically, by building the gap, which he's calmly doing now. He's just looking for reliability from the chassis, the Renault engine, which has not let either driver down, either Mansell, and off goes Martin Brundle. Now, has he damaged the car? And Jonathan Palmer, I think, is with Johnny Herbert.
Johnny, that looked a very sad end to a superb qualifying performance in the new Lotus 107. Just what happened there?
Well, I've been having a little bit of problems with the rear engine, just sticking out all the time. It just caught me out as I turned in on the brakes, and Miranda went, and that was it.
Very hard luck indeed. I'm sure there'll be more success in 107 in the future. Thanks, Johnny.
And I have no doubt at all that Peter Wright and John Miles, who are between them responsible for the suspension on the new Lotus, will get it right. We're back again with Schumacher chasing Alesi.
Yes, and Brundle is back in the race. He's lost a minute then, and he appears to be running, but he's way down now in 15th place as Schumacher gets past, and Schumacher finally makes it.
Up into 4th position, Mansell leads, Senna 2nd, Patrese 3rd, and Schumacher is already stretching the legs of the Benetton Ford and pulling away from Jean Alesi. Now, maybe Alesi has got a problem with the Ferrari after that contact.
Yes, I think he's got a problem, Murray. His lap times have slowed in the last couple of laps, not by very much, but he's lapping about 1.5 seconds, nearly 2 seconds slower than he was. And whether that's tyres, because he's lost aerodynamic performance, and he's been sliding the car about too much, or what, it's hard to speculate, but you look at the way that Schumacher is already stretching away from him, and they've lost ground to Prix. They were some 7 seconds behind when they last crossed the line with Danesi leading Schumacher, and I think we'll see that Schumacher will set about catching that gap now to Patrese. Patrese some 3 seconds behind Ayrton Senna.
And he was lapping Riccardo Patrese, as we look at Frank Williams, some 2 seconds faster than Schumacher, who's now got a clear circuit, and we're with him to prove it as he goes past the start and finish up to Sainte-Devote, the right-hander that I've told you about. That is Ayrton Senna, and on lap 22, over quarter distance now in this 78-lap race, Mansell leads Senna by nearly 15 seconds in a majestic drive. Patrese is charging again and starting to close on Ayrton Senna. There's the Brazilian, there is the Italian, Riccardo Patrese. Fourth is Schumacher now, fifth Alesi, sixth Berger, seventh Capelli, and eighth is Michele Alboreto, going strong for another points finish. Well, now, we were confused about Martin Brundle, but we now know that he came into the pits and he not only took on new tyres, but a new nose cone as well, which shows that he must have damaged the car when he went off.
This looks like a slowed down Ferrari. And that's a parking by Jean Alesi. So I suspect overheating as being an obvious, a fairly obvious guess from the damage around to the airflow around the radiator. But Schumacher is now under 6 seconds. He is actually catching Patrese, 6.7 seconds, and so the gap is moving about. And I think, and also Schumacher is lapping quicker. Again now, he's down to 24.1, that's his fastest lap of the race. And Martin Brundle, he's now lapping the same sort of times. And I suspect also that Schumacher, in his first Monaco Grand Prix, might be having a little bit of surprise about how hard work this is. And remember, he's been driving very hard indeed with that climbing all over the back of the Ferrari.
You're looking at Mansell now. Plato is in 11th place. Race order, Mansell leading as Alesi walks in. Senna 17 seconds behind the leader. Patrese is third. Schumacher is fourth and charging. Berger is fifth and being left behind by the German. Sixth is Capelli, seventh is Alboreto, eighth still Mika Häkkinen running in the second Lotus, the only one on the track at the moment. Gasho is ninth, Fittipaldi is 10th, Plato is 11th. And then there are a lot of retirements, and there are going to be more, and there is one of them, because Mika Häkkinen goes out of the Monaco Grand Prix in the second Lotus. So out now are Martini, Wendlinger, Modena, De Cesaris, Griard, Herbert, and that's a McLaren, and it's Gerhard Berger. Gerhard Berger on lap 34. He's not had the best of luck since he joined McLaren, and he's out of the race, and that means that Capelli goes up into fifth place in the Ferrari.
And one wonders if Berger had been having a problem for a while, because he seemed unusually subdued, but it wasn't slow enough to be an obvious problem. In the meantime, Martin Brundle is making good use still of those fresh tyres. He's just put up a new fastest lap of the race, 23.5, and he's got reason to race hard now, because in 11th place he's only 3 seconds or 3.5 seconds behind JJ Leto.
And Schumacher has almost joined Riccardo Patrese. There he is ahead. Watch the German's hand moving off the steering wheel over to the gear lever, and there's over 2,000 gear changes during the course of this race. All Riccardo Patrese has got to do is to flick a lever underneath the steering wheel on the right or the left, depending on whether he wants to change up or down. Schumacher has got to work much harder.
Well, you might think it's difficult enough to catch a Williams this year, and in that you'd be quite right. But that isn't the difficult bit for Schumacher now, because the more difficult bit is going to be to try and pass Patrese. And remember, of course, Patrese has, well, is the most experienced Grand Prix driver ever in terms of races done, and he knows as well as anybody that all he has to do is keep it clean and tidy, and it won't really be possible for Schumacher to find a way round. He just wants no mechanical hiccups from his car that can create a little chink or Schumacher to slip through, and certainly no mistakes. He knows very well that the way to defend this position is not to try and drive faster and faster and try and drive away, which could invite a mistake. More, if anything, to drive rather slower and keep it very clean and tidy, get on the power early, and there really is nothing the pursuing driver can do.
There's Mika Häkkinen. He hasn't got far to go home, actually, because he's at the bottom of the hill, which he lives at the top of, if you follow me.
And in the meantime, this battle and the presence of a few backmarkers has allowed Senna to slip this pair and get away a bit for the time being anyway. He's now 6.5 seconds clear. But one bad holding up in traffic can soon bring him back again. On the other hand, Senna is the ultimate master of fighting his way through the traffic.
Yes, we're rather losing sight of the fact that Senna is leading the Monaco Grand Prix, except for Nigel Mansell. And Ayrton Senna said yesterday, I'm just going to have to be patient if I'm to have any chance of doing well at Monaco, because I can't live with the Williams Renaults. Well, he was only 50% right, because he could more than live with the Williams Renault of Riccardo Patrese, who is well behind him now. There it is, in front of Michael Schumacher still.
And Jonathan has Gerhard Berger with him.
Gerhard, I'm sure you must be very fed up indeed. You look well poised for a top 3 finish. Just what happened? We just saw you stop.
First I had a problem with to change the mixture. I lost a lot of time. I lost about 5-6 seconds. Then I just could get well again, and then a gearbox had a problem.
The gearbox problem put you out?
I lost hydraulic pressure on the gearbox.
Right, Gerhard, our commiserations, thank you.
In the meantime, Schumacher fighting this very demoralising uphill battle of trying to find your way around another quick car in Monte Carlo. Well, they were hanging out minus 0.4 to Patrese, which I would have thought was stating the rather unnecessary obvious to him. That's a bit of information I'm quite sure he'll ignore. And there's Alboreto, who's had a spin, and that must mean Brundle's passed him. That's Michele Alboreto, all right. And, well, the station at the Lowe's hairpin, the old station hairpin as it used to be.
Is this a replay coming up? Yes, there is Michele Alboreto losing it, having been passed by Martin Brundle, who is therefore in 6th position. So it's Williams leading, McLaren 2nd, Williams 3rd, Benetton 4th, Ferrari Capelli 5th, Benetton of Martin Brundle in 6th position. It is the Larousse of Bertrand Gachot 7th, the footwork of Michele Alboreto 8th, Christian Fittipaldi's Minardi is in 9th position. In 10th position is JJ Leto's Dallara. Then the Ligier 11th of Comas, and that is Capelli. That is Capelli out.
And your eyes don't deceive you. He's parked it sideways up the barrier. There is why we were looking at the track from a very funny angle from the set camera, but he looks perfectly all right and very strong. Now we see it from the onboard camera. Capelli somehow, and he got it crossed up here. He's hit that. No, missed that one. And an accident in slow motion for you. Seemed to park quite neatly up there. Well, they've got it down. Lots of yellow flags. Bit of spillage from the Ferrari.
Martin Brundle 5th. Ivan Capelli's Ferrari out at the Rascasse. And Nigel Mansell, race leader by 29 seconds, is on his 70th lap. 8 laps to go, including the one that he is on. Between him and his first ever victory at Monaco, if he sees that checkered flag first. The best that he's done in the past was 2nd last year. You see the Union Jacks around the circuit. Nigel Mansell has, of course, led here before, because when he was driving for Lotus in, if my memory serves me correctly, 1984, in that appallingly wet race, and we're looking at Mansell now, he was leading. The race was subsequently stopped, but it wasn't stopped until Nigel Mansell had gone off and into the barrier and out of the race. And I remember vividly when I had the post-race interview with him, Nigel sadly saying, well, I just put my wheel on the white line, Murray, and it slid away from me into the barrier. Still, Senna, 28 seconds behind, looking absolutely secure for his highest finish of the year. Second place to give him 6 points, but that would still increase the gap in the World Championship between himself and Nigel Mansell by 4 points, because if Mansell wins, he will get 10. And look, this is absolutely sensational. Nigel Mansell in the pits.
Nigel Mansell's been in for a pit stop. He's put on tyres.
New tyres. He must have lost the lead to Senna.
And dear oh dear, what a turn up for Mansell. I wonder why that happened, but in the meantime, there is the new race leader. Now Mansell just up to speed. There is Mansell behind. Coming down, he's got 2 back markers between him, but Mansell only just failed to make it out of the pits in front of Senna. Jonathan will give us news as to why he came in.
Well, there was indeed some rapid action there, and the problem was a puncture for Nigel Mansell. He came in for a straightforward tyre stop and is now, though, underway.
Oh, what cruel luck for Nigel Mansell. Now, Senna in the lead. There is very little doubt in my mind that Mansell, as long as that set's a good one, will catch Senna in the 7 or so remaining laps. But getting past him will be another matter, even in the Williams Renault, and it won't. Life is not going to be made any easier by having these 2 back markers in front of him. Now, Senna may get reward for keeping hanging on in there for so long. But certainly he would think this is a pretty lucky win if he can do it. But at last we've got an exciting finish on our hands.
Ayrton Senna into his 73rd lap, and he's leading Nigel Mansell by 5 seconds, with Mansell having to leave the pit lane and speed up. Now, Nigel Mansell, of course he wants to win this race, but in fact if he finished second, he would still be commandingly in the World Championship lead, but he's certainly not giving in there, taking Eric Comas, lap 73. After this, we've got lap 74, 5, 6, 7 and 8, with the possibility of Ayrton Senna winning a Grand Prix for the first time since Australia 1991, having been beaten, of course, on the first 5 in South Africa, Mexico, Brazil, Spain and San Marino by the man who is second to him now. Bitter, bitter luck for Nigel Mansell. There he is in second place. Now, let's see as Senna goes through at the end of this lap whether Mansell has lapped faster on the first flying lap that he's had since he left the pit lane. I'm just getting through the pits now because Ayrton Senna will be coming past our position shortly. He has just done so, and Senna has gone through. Nigel Mansell is exiting the Rascasse up towards the start and finish line into lap 74. And so it's down to 4.3 seconds, but I can't see Mansell catching him.
Well, he's going to catch him. New lap record for Nigel Mansell. He's got fresh tyres on, obviously. Tremendous grip advantage, and he really put his life in, or his race in Eric Comas's hands when he went through at the Mirabeau. Then he came from a long way back, so he's in real racing, charging mood, Mansell. And there is the new lap record captured up, and that's knocked a whole second off, well, just more than a second than Mansell's previous fastest lap. Remember, he's got fresh tyres on, maybe an absolutely crucial advantage in the battle to get past Senna, but Senna can and will, I'm sure, make his McLaren grow immensely in width when Mansell catches him. Mansell will catch him by the end of the next lap, I would have thought. Mansell absolutely flying. About halfway around the next lap at this rate.
This is really exciting stuff. This is coming up towards the end of lap 74 in this 70-lap race, 78-lap race, and you're looking at the first and second place man. Nigel on fresh tyres, he's got an advantage there, but as James has said, the Brazilian will be able to position his McLaren Honda all the way round the circuit to make it desperately difficult for Nigel Mansell to get past, and there's another new lap record for Mansell, 1 minute 21.598, which is nearly 2 seconds faster than the previous lap record and quicker than Brundle. They're coming down now to lows again.
Getting very close to sort of qualifying speed. Mansell's back marker in front of Senna. It'll be crucial for Senna to get past him. It's the Dallara. and JJ Leto. He's quite experienced, but could be excused for not knowing what's going on, and that we've got a major battle for the lead right behind him. Senna. And Mansell made it through as well. Leto saw them coming, so that's one back marker out of the way. Senna won't want back markers in this. He'll fancy his chances to be able to block Mansell, I would have thought, without the help of any back markers.
And as they come through to complete lap 75 with 3 laps to go after they have done so, Ayrton Senna has got to keep Mansell behind him for 3 whole laps, and Mansell will never have been more determined to get past anybody. These two are the implacable rivals in Formula One, and you can see for yourselves what the situation is now as Mansell swarms around all over the McLaren into Casino Square again. There's 3 laps of this that Ayrton Senna has got to resist, and Nigel Mansell knows that the man ahead of him is the man that can deny him his 6th successive Grand Prix victory and his first Monaco Grand Prix win. And it could be the chicane. Remember that last year, the chicane that they approach after they have left the tunnel is where Mansell did his stupefying passing manoeuvre on Alain Prost Ferrari to move up to 2nd place. This is where he did it. Senna probably remembers that too. This is lap 76. They're going to be starting the last lap for 1 at the end of this one. What a battle for the lead. Senna closes the door out of the swimming pool. Now this is Mansell's opportunity as they come up to Saint-Devote. He's tucked right under the rear wing of Ayrton Senna's McLaren. This is the start of lap 77, the last lap but 1. Even if Mansell doesn't get past Senna, and he's going to have a job, this is going to be probably the closest finish we've ever had at Monaco.
And this is really tremendous stuff. Nigel Mansell really showing us what he hasn't had a chance to show us all year, what a racer he is, and this is it. And Senna, all his skills involved. He's got a much slower car, courtesy, quite apart from the different relative performance of the actual cars. He's got very clapped out tyres on his car. Mansell's got fresh rubber on, all the grip in the world, but this is narrow, this is Monaco, and it will be a major achievement if Mansell can get past. Right with him, Senna blocking away and sliding a lot, Senna knocking it down. And he almost came to a dead stop there.
Mansell weaving this way and that way, but Senna won't let him past. He's got the racing line, he's going to keep it. This last lap coming up, of course, is going to be the crucial one. Senna's just got to put his car in the right position, and there's nowhere the Mansell could get through, and it won't be at the Rascasse. It could be at Saint-Devote again. But Senna demonstrates that Honda have caught up with Renault as terms of engine power. Mansell said they had yesterday, and Senna actually pulls away a little bit last lap.
You can see how careful Senna is as he exits the Rascasse. He doesn't hurry through it. He gets the car pointed and gets on the power very early, and that's protected him each time. And Senna through the Casino Square, down the hill to Mirabeau is an important point, but he's got just enough breathing space there from Nigel Mansell, and it's going to be from the chicane onwards. No passing here, down the 48, not into the tunnel. Senna early on the power, I'm sure. Now through the bend in the tunnel.
It's got to be a brilliantly courageous move by Nigel Mansell if he's going to win the Monaco Grand Prix for the first time, because Senna knows that he's got considerably less than half a lap between himself and his first victory of 1992. This is the swimming pool. It's only the left here, the right again, the left, and into the Rascasse, and I do not see how Mansell, even Nigel Mansell on fresh tyres, is going to be able to get by. He can't. start. Ayrton Senna has won the Monaco Grand Prix, almost certainly as he exits the Rascasse. Mansell closes, but it's too late, and Ayrton Senna wins at Monaco for the 5th time in 6 years. An incredible achievement, and I think he's blown his engine as he does so.
And a supreme disappointment for Nigel Mansell, but look at him waving. I'm sure he is thrilled because Nigel Mansell showed us his great qualities as a racer, and that was tremendous stuff. Unlucky for Mansell, he so much wanted the win, but he did himself tremendous credit there, and a really fabulous finish to the Monte Carlo Grand Prix.
And Ayrton Senna, in winning his Monaco Grand Prix, has equalled the record of the great Graham Hill and has won in the process the Graham Hill Trophy. It's not all that often that Senna expresses emotion from the cockpit, but my goodness, he's doing it now. He might be feeling, I'm on the way back. Well, he is on the way back, but with no discredit to him or to McLaren Honda, I'm afraid it was, as far as Nigel Mansell is concerned, once again, bad luck that defeated him.
Once the last 5-6 laps, I realized I was in the lead. I had nothing else to give. The tires were completely worn out. They were good for the whole race, but they were worn out at the end. There was no grip. And he had new tires. He was coming for everything. So I knew he would be in for a major one the last 3 laps. But it was exciting, but very difficult because he was several seconds faster than me for every lap. And I had no grip to put the power down, so it was like on ice driving around. And fortunately, I think were only 3 or 4 laps that way.
Thank you, Ayrton. Nigel Mansell, desperately hard luck for you here at Monte Carlo, that elusive first win still. What actually happened, Nigel? You were 28 seconds in the lead and then you disappeared into the pits. Tell us what happened.
Coming through the tunnel, I almost lost it and the back end just went down. And I knew immediately I'd picked up an instant puncture. The problem was I was halfway from the pits, so I had to drive so slowly to get to the pits. The car was, the brakes wasn't working because it was only on 3 wheels, and I think I probably lost about 10 to 15 seconds just getting it back to the pits. And then we had a longer pit stop than normal, and as I came out the pit I could see Ayrton go by, and I knew then that the race was probably lost, but as you can see from the last 10 laps, we gave it everything we could and more. And his car was just too wide to get past.
How are you feeling now? Because you look very tired indeed.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you have the race under control for 7/8 of the distance, and then you pick up a puncture. That's Monte Carlo for you. And then you have to drive 10 to 11 tenths, and I think we're both driving way over the limit on the last 6 laps. I mean, I must compliment Ayrton because he pretty well second-guessed every move I tried to do, and he was very fair. I mean, he's entitled to do what he did, and I think he drove fantastic, and that's why he won the race, and I came a close second.
Well, the 50th Monaco Grand Prix turned out to be an absolute stunner. Senna's first victory of the year by 0.2 of a second from Nigel Mansell. 3rd, Riccardo Patrese. 4th, Michael Schumacher. 5th, Schumacher's teammate Martin Brundle. And in 6th place, Bertrand Gachot, his first point of the year.